Welcome to Free You. Let us begin, not in noise, but in stillness. Have you noticed the world's pace, rushing, accelerating, as if everything is being pulled into a storm? Artificial intelligence now writes poetry, paints visions, and speaks with voices that feel almost human. It answers questions. It creates wonders. And quietly, within us, a fear may rise. If machines can do so much, what will remain for us? Will we, too, be replaced? But in the midst of this question lies a deeper invitation. Because what defines us has never been speed, or skill, or brilliance alone. There is an intelligence beyond calculation, a knowing that no algorithm can touch. It is not something we produce, it is something we are. This is Prajñā, the clear, timeless wisdom that breathes beneath thought, the sacred awareness that no machine can copy because it is not a function, it is presence itself. In this space, we do not resist AI. We do not fear it. We simply return, gently, to the one dimension untouched by any technology, the still, silent, luminous essence of being, the one that is always here, the one that is truly you. Let us pause and look closely at what we call intelligence. It is something we admire, something we chase. We measure our worth by it. Schools train it. Societies reward it. Our very identity often rests upon it. Intelligence, the capacity to gather information, recognize patterns, and solve problems. It allows a student to pass an exam, a doctor to find a diagnosis, a strategist to outplay an opponent on the chessboard. And now, this same capacity allows machines to do what once seemed impossible. Artificial intelligence can write entire novels, compose symphonies, even reproduce the sound of a human voice. Why? Because this form of intelligence is mechanical. It does not need depth, only precision. It does not need meaning, only memory. It operates by patterns, rules, codes, and probabilities. Feed it enough examples, and it will recognize the shape and mirror it back, often faster and more efficiently than we can. Think of it like teaching someone how to bake a cake. You hand them the recipe, exact measurements, precise timings, clear instructions. They don't need to understand what a birthday means, or why sweetness makes a child smile. They don't need to feel the love in a mother's hands when she bakes for her family. They only need the formula. That is how AI learns. It follows code, flawlessly, tirelessly, with no distraction, no longing, no fatigue. And yes, in the world of function, this is brilliance. But brilliance is not the same as wisdom. Intelligence can describe fire, but it cannot feel its warmth on the skin. It can name the ocean, but it has never tasted salt on the lips or drowned in longing. It can define grief, but it will never tremble with tears. AI can win every game of logic, but it cannot know what it means to lose someone you love. And here lies the subtle line we must never forget. Intelligence can imitate life, but only wisdom can touch it. Now let us turn to something quieter, yet infinitely more alive. Prajñā. It is not a word that belongs to logic. It belongs to silence. You won't find it in textbooks. You cannot store it on a hard drive. You cannot upload it to the cloud, Because prajna is not what you know. It is the clear space that exists before knowing, not made of facts, but of pure presence, not fueled by memory, but by direct seeing. It is the moment a mother gazes into her newborn's eyes, and the entire world of thought falls away, leaving only love. It is the hush before dawn, when a forest stands still, yet every leaf trembles with hidden life. It is the silence at a funeral, when words cannot reach, but hearts still bow together before the mystery of loss. Prajñā doesn't react. It simply witnesses. It doesn't calculate. It sees through. It knows the body will age, yet honors each wrinkle as a scripture of time. It knows everything passes, yet dares to love again and again and again. Prajñā is not something to achieve. It is what you remember when the noise inside finally softens. You don't earn it. You don't master it. You only stop running long enough to notice what has always been here. A spacious, silent, aware truth. This truth has never needed to prove itself. And this living presence, cannot be replaced, because no machine can return to silence. No algorithm can dissolve into the mystery of the now. No synthetic voice can echo with the weight of awakening. Only prajñā can do this. Because prajñā is not imitation. It is not performance. It is life, recognizing itself. So when the noise of the world grows louder, when machines become faster, smarter, brighter, remember this. There is a wisdom no code can reach. A stillness no progress can disturb. A presence no technology can replace. So the question now becomes, how do we live in this new world without losing what makes us human? Not by competing with machines, not by trying to be faster, sharper, or endlessly productive. That is their realm. Ours is different. Ours is the realm of breath, of presence, of knowing not only how to act, but how to be. You don't need to race to stay relevant. You need to slow down to stay real. You don't need to outthink a machine. You need to outpresence it. Because every time you pause and rest with what is, instead of escaping into endless doing, you step into the one place AI can never follow: awareness. When you breathe and truly feel, the warmth in your chest as you hold a child, the ache in your belly when truth stirs inside you, the quiet longing behind a smile you offer a stranger, you are touching something sacred, something no algorithm can store, no database can recreate. And when you look into another's eyes, not to analyze, not to measure, not to fix, but simply to see, you become the mirror that heals. That is where prajñā lives, not in performance, but in presence, not in repetition, but in realness, not in calculation, but in direct seeing. So if you wish to remain irreplaceable, don't amplify your noise, return to your stillness, don't sharpen your defenses, open your awareness, don't try to be extraordinary, be fully, tenderly, unmistakably here. Because machines can copy brilliance. They can repeat knowledge. They can even imitate emotion. But they cannot sit in silence. They cannot dissolve into mystery. They cannot open their hearts to love, to loss, to awe. That is what makes you human. That is what makes you sacred. And that is what will always keep you beyond replacement. There are many doors that lead us back to stillness. But today, let us walk through 5 simple ways, 5 gentle paths that remind us how to return to what has always been here. Not techniques to master, not goals to achieve, just living invitations to breathe, to pause, to feel, to realign, and to choose the real. These are the 5 ways back to stillness, and each one is already within you. The first path back to stillness is presence. In a culture that glorifies constant motion, there is something revolutionary and deeply human about choosing to pause, not rushing to the next task, not filling the silence with noise, but allowing stillness to arrive. This is the sacred pause, a space where life is no longer measured by productivity, but by presence. No machine can pause with reverence. No program can rest in silence, without demand, without function. Only you can touch that depth. When you pause, truly pause, you begin to notice what is always here. The rhythm of your breath, the steady beat of your heart, the soft weight of being alive. The sacred pause is not empty. It is alive. It holds the texture of being, subtle, quiet, real. Imagine standing beneath a night sky. The stars don't rush. The moon does not explain itself. And yet, their stillness moves you. Something inside exhales. In the same way, when you allow pause, life speaks in whispers. The hush between 2 notes of music. The silence after a deep sigh, the way time seems to open when you stop trying to control it. That is the gift of the sacred pause. It doesn't fix, it doesn't perform. It simply opens a doorway back into what is real. And in that doorway, you discover a freedom no machine will ever touch, because only a human heart can pause and feel eternity breathing through it. The pause is not weakness. It is not wasting time. It is the moment you return to yourself, to the presence that has always been waiting. The second path back to stillness is to cultivate inner stillness itself. Artificial intelligence runs on speed. It is built to respond instantly, endlessly. But Prajñā blooms in a different rhythm, not the restless beat of urgency, but the quiet pulse of stillness. This stillness is not empty. It is spacious, luminous, profoundly alive. The more we try to match the speed of machines, the further we drift from our own center. Our true value does not lie in quick responses, but in our capacity to rest deeply, without the compulsion to fix, to prove, to perform. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of awareness within movement. You can wash the dishes and yet rest in silence. You can walk through a crowded street and still feel rooted in the quiet soil of your being. To touch this stillness, you must stop chasing, stop fleeing what feels uncomfortable. Sit, breathe, stay. Let thoughts rise and fall, like clouds drifting across an open sky. You don't need to grasp them. You don't need to fight them. Simply watch. And as you watch, the mind softens. The noise thins out. The body relaxes into presence. You begin to sense a quiet underneath it all, a presence that does not move with thought, a silence that does not depend on circumstance. This is the gift of stillness. It doesn't require you to escape life, only to meet it, without running away. And as the silence deepens, something ancient begins to return. A clarity not born of thinking, but of being. a wisdom that sees without effort, that shines without needing to explain itself. That is where Prajñā lives, not in performance, not in speed, but in the timeless space of awareness itself. And that, this quiet home of presence, is a place no machine will ever enter, because code can repeat patterns, but it cannot dissolve into silence. It cannot awaken to the living truth of this moment. Only you can do that. Only here. Only now. The third path back to stillness is to feel fully. Artificial intelligence has no body, no breath, no trembling nervous system. It can describe emotions in words, but it cannot feel them. It may say, "I understand you're sad," but it will never know the heaviness pressing into your chest, the lump rising in your throat, or the sharp ache of a memory that refuses to fade. But you were born to feel, not to suppress, deny, or analyze your feelings, but to live them fully. To cry when your heart breaks. To tremble when something sacred touches you. To laugh so freely that joy spills into tears. To grieve so deeply that the walls around your heart finally soften. And yet, the modern world teaches us to move on quickly, to keep functioning, to bury what is raw, to push through. But healing does not happen through speed. It does not come from distraction. It comes from pausing long enough to let the wave move through you. Imagine your feelings as the ocean. Each wave must rise, crest, and fall. If you block it, it crashes harder. If you run from it, it follows. But when you let it move through, something within you begins to clear. This is the forgotten art of feeling. To be with what hurts, to welcome what inspires, to stand still in the storm until the sky opens again. So whatever is here, let it come. The longing, the beauty, the fear, the wonder. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to turn it into a story. Just feel. Because every time you allow yourself to feel, without running, without numbing, you reclaim something sacred, your aliveness. And that, this raw, trembling, holy aliveness, is something no machine will ever taste. It is the pulse of being human, the gift of having a heart, the miracle of being here. The fourth path back to stillness is to live in alignment. Many people fear that AI will replace them, but in truth, many of us have already replaced ourselves, not with machines, but with unconscious patterns. We wake up and reach for the screen before the sun. We scroll, we rush to work, we perform the same roles, speak the same phrases, move through the same cycles, and deep inside, a quiet disconnection grows. Not because we are not enough, but because we are not aligned. We keep doing things we no longer believe in. We keep saying words we no longer feel. We live in rhythms that drain the soul. And when this continues long enough, we forget who we are. That is automation. Not in robots, but in human beings who stop asking why. But alignment is something different. Alignment is when your outer life echoes your inner truth, when your words are rooted in sincerity, when your actions rise from clarity, not pressure. It is when you say yes, and your whole body agrees, when you say no, and you feel peace, not guilt. Alignment is not about perfection, it is about integrity. And in integrity, even the smallest act becomes sacred. Pouring tea with presence, listening without needing to reply, letting silence be enough. These are not grand gestures, but they carry the fragrance of truth. And in that fragrance, life becomes whole again. Machines may run systems, but only presence can guide a life. So live from within, not from habit. Let your choices arise from conscious awareness, not unconscious repetition, because a machine can function, it can execute tasks, it can follow commands, but it cannot awaken in the morning and feel gratitude for breath. It cannot tremble before beauty or break open in love. Only you can do that. Only you can live a life that is truly alive. So do not trade your presence for performance. Do not lose your truth to the noise of automation. Return to alignment. Return to life. The fifth path back to stillness is to let go of the race. In a world chasing more speed, more skill, more output, it is easy to believe you must keep up or be left behind. But who said you were in a race? And if it is a race, who are you running against? A machine, a number, a version of yourself that was never truly you? The truth is this: the faster you run to prove yourself, the further you drift from what is real. AI will always be quicker, more efficient, more optimized. But what it gains in performance, it loses in presence. And that is where your freedom begins. You were never designed to compete with code. You were designed to live in truth. Not the truth that shouts in headlines, but the truth that whispers softly beneath all the noise. The truth of your breath, steady and faithful. The truth of your feelings, rising and fading like tides. The truth of your stillness, quiet but unshakable. This is the dimension no algorithm can reach. This is the sacred ground where machines cannot follow, because presence cannot be programmed. It must be lived. So let go of the race. You were never meant to win it. You were meant to step out of it completely. And remember what is real, what is alive, what is uncopyable. That is prajñā, not something to earn, but something to return to. Not a finish line to cross, but a home that has always been here. And it has been waiting for you, not in the noise of achievement, but in the quiet breath beneath it all. One pause, one still moment, and you are already home. When the mind is calm, truly calm, not dulled by numbness, but bright with presence, a different energy begins to radiate. It does not shout, it does not rush, yet it is unmistakable. A still mind carries the frequency of clarity, compassion, and spaciousness. In that field, others feel safe. Not because of what you do, but because of what you no longer emit. No pressure, no grasping, no restless noise. This is the quiet power of presence. It nourishes simply by being. In stillness, you do not chase, yet the right people and opportunities arrive. You do not perform, yet something deep awakens in others, simply because you are real. Here lies the paradox. The moment you stop trying to prove your value, you become irreplaceable. Not because of effort, not because of strategy, but because your energy speaks more than words. It speaks of honesty, of groundedness, of freedom from the noise of performance. And people feel it. They recognize truth, not in your actions alone, but in the space you hold. When your energy is rooted in presence, not performance, it begins to magnetize what is real. True connection, true respect, true abundance, not born of pushing, but of alignment. This is the radiant frequency of prajñā, a vibration that cannot be coded, a signal no algorithm can reproduce. Machines may calculate, but they cannot emanate stillness. They cannot radiate awareness. Only a human being, resting deeply in presence, can send out this sacred frequency. And when you do, the world shifts around you, not because you tried to change it, but because you simply are. Let us pause to see clearly the difference between artificial intelligence and prajñā. AI functions through data. It recognizes patterns, calculates outcomes, and optimizes results. It reacts instantly, precisely, based on what it has learned. But reaction is not perception, and performance is not wisdom. Prajñā does not react. It perceives. It does not run on memory. It arises from a silent knowing, with no source, no proof required. AI is built to perform. Prajñā is the absence of performance. AI creates through input and instruction. Prajñā flows from insight, from direct experience. AI may simulate emotion, but it cannot transmute suffering. It may describe love, but it has never held a dying hand. It may explain beauty, but it will never weep at sunrise. AI is mechanical. Prajñā is alive. Where AI ends, the sacred begins. If we wonder why AI now threatens human work, we must look honestly at how we have been educated. From childhood, we memorize, repeat, and perform. We are rewarded for answers, not for questions. We are taught to follow instructions, not inner knowing. Speed is praised over stillness, efficiency over empathy, achievement over awareness. We are shaped to be useful to systems that value productivity, but not presence. And so, we became skilled at analysis, calculation, production, the very skills that AI now does faster, better, cheaper. This is not failure. It is forgetfulness. We forgot our deeper strength, the intelligence of presence, the wisdom of connection, the courage to stay with mystery. If we wish to walk a new path, we must ask, what kind of intelligence are we cultivating? Not only in ourselves, but in our children. The education of the future cannot rest on test scores alone. We must teach not only how to think, but how to pause, not only how to answer, but how to listen, not only how to compete, but how to sit with another's pain and not turn away. Classrooms must honor presence. They must allow silence. They must celebrate wonder. When a child sees beauty in the wind, we should not say, focus. We should ask them to share what they see. We must teach them to notice the breath, to rest in their body, to remember that truth is not always fast and wisdom is not always loud. Because no matter how advanced AI becomes, it cannot raise a child in presence. Only a human heart can do that. And what if you are a parent, watching your child in a system that rewards performance over presence? You may feel torn between helping them succeed in this world and protecting their spirit, which needs more than grades. You are not alone. Many parents walk between two worlds. One world says, faster, higher, smarter. The other whispers, slower, softer, truer. When your daughter comes home crying from a low grade, you can hold her and whisper, your worth is not a number. Your heart matters more than paper. When your son forgets homework and fears punishment, you can ask gently, Were you tired? Overwhelmed? Distracted? He learns that being seen is more healing than being corrected. When your teenager says, "I don't know what I want to be," you can breathe and reply, "That's okay. I care more about who you are than what you become." Because even if the world measures success by achievements, you can create a field where being is enough. Most of all, let them see you live this truth. Pause when you are tired. Rest without guilt. Speak slowly. Sit with your own feelings without judgment. Children learn less from words and more from the calmness of your nervous system. Even if the world races forward, you can be the quiet current beneath it all. You can be the doorway back to Prajñā. And through you, they will remember what can never be replaced. In the end, the greatest danger is not that AI will replace us. The deeper danger is that we replace ourselves, that we abandon presence and cling to performance, that we trade stillness for speed, that we forget the miracle of simply being in our endless striving to become something more. But you were never meant to be a better machine. You are not here to outthink the system. You are here to remember the one thing that cannot be copied: your stillness, your knowing, your sacred breath, the way you feel the weight of a single tear, the way your heart softens at the laughter of a child, the way you can sit beside someone in grief, say nothing, yet say everything. These are not skills. They are not talents. They are the fragrance of Prajñā. Not something you must learn, not something you must earn, but something you have always carried, beneath the noise, beneath the striving, beneath the masks. Prajñā cannot be replaced, because it is not a thing. It is the light behind your eyes, the truth beneath all stories, the presence that has always been here, waiting for your return. And the beauty is, it was never lost, only waiting for one clear breath, one quiet moment of remembrance. If these words touched something gentle within you, you are warmly invited to leave a whisper in the comments, a word, a reflection, a breath. And if you long for more spaces like this, soft, sacred, true, you are welcome to subscribe. Let us walk this path of presence together, not in haste, not in noise, but in stillness. One quiet step, one clear breath at a time.